All right, welcome. Today we are diving into one of the most detailed and, frankly, fascinating architectural blueprints ever recorded. We're talking about the divine instructions for building the tabernacle, straight out of the book of Exodus.
So just think about this for a second. What if you were tasked not just with building something, but with following a celestial design, a plan where every single material, every measurement, every color has a specific divine purpose? I mean, that's exactly the challenge laid out in these ancient verses.
So what exactly was this tabernacle? Well, you can think of it as a mobile temple, a sacred space that could actually travel with the Israelites through the desert. It was this incredible masterpiece of engineering, designed to be both absolutely magnificent and completely modular.
Now, we're going to build this thing just like the text tells us to, from the inside out. And it all begins with that very first layer, these spectacular inner curtains that would become the heart of the sanctuary.
The instructions kick off with 10 enormous curtains, and right away the materials themselves tell a story. The colors weren't just for decoration, they were deeply symbolic. You've got blue for the heavens, purple for royalty, and scarlet, which often signifies life and sacrifice. And get this, woven right into this fine linen were these incredible figures of cherubim, these angelic beings basically marking this space as a meeting point between heaven and earth.
And here's where you see the sheer precision of the whole operation. These curtains weren't just, draped over a pole. They were engineered. The 10 curtains were joined into 2 big sets of 5. Then, they were connected using 50 blue loops and 50 clasps of pure gold. And that choice of gold, it's absolutely crucial. It's the metal of divinity and perfection, and it's used for the elements closest to the sacred center.
And this quote just perfectly illustrates the whole goal. Through this incredibly meticulous process of coupling and clasping, what started as 10 separate pieces of fabric becomes one single unified structure. The text is so clear, it shall be one tabernacle, unity created from many parts.
Okay, so let's move to the next layer and see how this all builds up. Because above that beautiful inner linen curtain, there was a series of protective coverings. Basically, a tent, designed for pure durability against the harsh desert.
You can see the difference right away. This outer tent was made of 11 curtains of rugged goat's hair. And notice the clasps. Now they're brass, not gold. This tells us there's a clear hierarchy of materials. As we move outward from that sacred center, the materials become more functional, less precious. Brass often represents strength and endurance.
And on top of all that, there were 2 more layers for the ultimate weatherproofing. First, a covering of ram skins dyed red, which is another nod to that theme of sacrifice. And then, a final tough outer layer made from badger skins, though a lot of scholars think this was probably a durable hide from a marine animal, like a sea cow or dugong. This was the final shield against the sun and the rain.
So, with all the fabric coverings designed, the blueprint now turns to the skeleton, the part that's going to give the sanctuary its actual shape, an incredibly elaborate wall frame made of wood, silver, and gold. And just look at the source text itself. This is not a simple instruction manual, is it? It's a dense wall of incredibly specific details, from the type of wood to the exact dimensions of every single board and socket. There was absolutely no room for error or creative interpretation here.
So to make this a little easier to grasp, let's just break down one single wall unit. Each one started with a board of shittim wood, which is a really dense, durable acacia wood that was common in the Sinai desert. That board was then completely covered in gold. But, and this is so important, it stood in 2 heavy sockets made of solid silver. Symbolically, silver was often tied to redemption, which means the entire divine structure was literally founded on it.
The full plan called for 48 of these gold and silver units. So you'd have 20 boards forming the long south wall, another 20 for the north wall, and then 8 boards for the shorter west wall at the back, with 2 of those specially designed to make the corners strong.
So how did all these heavy boards actually stay upright? Well, they were locked together by 5 long bars, also made of acacia wood covered in gold, that slid through golden rings on each board. This system turned the entire wall frame into a single, stable, and incredibly strong structure.
All right, now we come to the final and maybe the most significant architectural element of all, the veil. This wasn't a wall, but a magnificent curtain that would divide the interior space into 2.
The purpose of this veil is stated with absolute crystal clarity. Its entire function was separation. It created a boundary between what was called the holy place, where daily rituals happened, and the most holy place, the innermost sanctum.
Now take a look at the materials here. Fine linen, blue, purple, scarlet, with woven cherubim. Does that sound familiar? It should. The veil was crafted with the exact same celestial pattern as those innermost tabernacle curtains. It tells us that this barrier, the one separating humanity from the direct divine presence, was itself woven with a heavenly design.
And this sacred curtain wasn't just, tacked up. No way. It was suspended from 4 pillars of acacia wood, completely overlaid with gold, with golden hooks. And just like the main wall frames, these pillars stood in solid sockets of pure silver, reinforcing once again that this holy partition was founded on redemption.
So, when you put it all together, what do you have? You have a portable masterpiece, a totally intricate assembly of the finest materials, rich fabrics, durable wood, and just vast amounts of precious metals, all designed to be packed up and moved at a moment's notice.
And that really leaves us with a fascinating final question to think about. This wasn't a permanent temple built to stand for centuries. It was a mobile sanctuary for a people on the move. So why this incredible level of detail? Why demand such perfection, such wealth, for a structure that was, by its very nature, temporary? That's definitely something to ponder.